Hello, hello, everyone. We're live. Welcome to today's Social Media and AI Shortcuts. Hi, I'm Madalyn, and I've got some important updates and smart strategies to help you protect your content and keep up with what's changing in AI and social media. I can't wait for us to talk about it today. We're going to start with a topic that just doesn't get talked about enough, and that is AI privacy. Did you know some tools might be using your uploaded content to train your models? You might not realize that's happening. We're going to discuss why a tool like Magi can help keep your content private and secure. So I can't wait for us to have this discussion. Then after that, we're going to look at a very simple tweet that my friend Janet Machuca put out yesterday, one day ago. And it is already, I was going to show it to you. Like, this was already my plan to show y'all because it's a very well done post. But what makes it even better, after 24 hours, it's reached 108,000 views. I just can't get over how well this one post has done. And I want to break it down to you because I want to show you why it was a good tweet, but then also the power of it and how it's attracted so many views, so many comments is pretty phenomenal. And then after that, a little later on, we're going to talk about Facebook and how video posts are now officially reels. Yeah, it's happening. And also that passkeys are finally going to be available for a more secure login with Facebook. It's about time, right? So, hey, everybody, I'm Madalyn Sklar. I've been teaching social media and digital marketing for so many years, I can't even keep count because it's been decades. I don't even know how many years. It's been too long. I help you make smart, simple moves on AI and social media so that you can grow your presence without getting overwhelmed. It's too easy to get overwhelmed with all this stuff. So I'm glad y'all are here with me today. I'm going to bring up our guests, our panelists that come and join us each week. Hello, ladies. Hello, Rachel and Barb. How are y'all doing today?
Howdy.
Great.
Always great having y'all as regulars. We did miss you, Rachel. I look, this is like a casual thing. There's no like set thing where like you have to be here. Like, this is just, I'm going to be here each week and I'm
Yeah.
going to talk about with everybody all the things I've come up with and learned about in the past week or so. And I love having a panelist with me because I want to hear from others. I want to hear your thoughts on these things I uncover. And maybe, some of y'all have things that y'all have discovered that you want to share. And it's just part of us being a community. And speaking of that, I do have our social media and AI shortcuts community that lives on. We do the 1 hour live stream here, but this lives on over on the school platform. You'll see us a live shot of it right now. And it's easy to sign up. It's free. Go to school.com, SKOOL, school.com/Madalyn Sklar. Come hang out, be part of the conversation. It's just a great, easy way for us to keep these discussions going and not having to do it in a Facebook group. I think a lot of people are tired of Facebook groups, and there's just so many issues with Facebook these days. I mean, I go there not nearly as much as I used to, but I basically just go over there to keep up with friends and family and see what everybody's up to. But I just don't use it nearly as much. Barb, I know you use Facebook a lot, and you're still big with Facebook groups. But have you noticed there's been a more decline? It seems like people are just not into Facebook like they used to.
I think it's very deceptive. Yes, I have been on here a long time. I just celebrated my anniversary, in fact. And for me, I look, they're Gen Xers and baby boomers are my people for the most part on there. And then they're blaming, Facebook as being too old because they're on there.
Yeah.
And now people in those generations tend to have children and grandchildren who are, and the minimum age on the platform is 13. But as you know, I'm a person of habit, and since the 1980s, every single day I keep a notepad for every single day when I get on. So these are the top 10 things that I have to do. So if I have multiple communities, I go there, right? Well, each of my communities I keep track of, and it's like all this stuff being bombarded this last week, and I think, well, this is the season. Every year they do this in the spring season. They put us through shock therapy, it seems like. just to make sure, it's like, if we can't get those old people off of there any other way, we're going to just shock them out. Because one of the things in my memories that came up just yesterday, that's one of my habits. I check that, and I always check my birthdays in the memories.
Me too.
And the first thing I check to see, what was posted on that day, it gives me, 13, 14 years back, at least. And it's a real shocker because I tend to actually post meta news announcements on my profile. And of course, yesterday I was met with Mark's cryptocurrency, Libra, that when he announced that, and I'm like, I went right up the chain and I said, okay, just stay calm, Barbie. Don't go anywhere. And what is your why? What is your why for being in any community, for building it, maintaining it, or what have you? And like you said, well, I'm there for my friends and family. Well, over half of my friends on Facebook are folks I have known multiple generations of through the hot air and gas ballooning community. So they are there, and they are still there. Did I notice, I'm actually getting upticks in my groups. And it's like, what?
Wow.
Everybody's going,
That's
but
awesome.
it all depends on what you do. And why is Barb getting it? Well, this is my season, has been since, the 80s when I started. This is ballooning season around the world for the most part. So they're all coming together and doing more. They need to connect with each other to do events and training, so forth and so on. And so they get what using the technology that way is for. But I got to tell you, it's like one of the gay habits is to right away look at notifications. And you have new, and then you have the ones that you've already looked at. Well, yesterday it was only going to give me the new, but that was pathetic because it was showing those top, I think it's 15 that they show you. It would show they were here 15 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. Not that they're currently there when we get the little green dot or whatever color it is. So it's crazy. And it's bizarre at the moment. So like I said, it's kind of made me ill because from the standpoint, it's like, oh, you guys, I don't need this anymore. Let's go back to the 80s with Bez.
Hey, Bez, good to see you. Rachel, do you use Facebook much anymore? I don't know if you had to step away. There you are.
No, I'm here. It's fine.
Do you use Facebook much?
I do, actually. It's Facebook drives me insane. I've not ever been a huge fan. I find it clunky, and then they change things. They don't tell you, whatever. Yeah. But the difficult part for me is managing client accounts. Everything goes through a personal Facebook account. So like if you want to create a Threads account or an Instagram account, you have to have a personal Facebook account to manage all of this, and then to connect it, like to Hootsuite, or I'm using Vista Social. Everything has to be connected, and it puts you into these loops, and then stupid stuff happens. So I mean, I use it because I have to, and the majority of my clients are my age. I'm 61 or older. And that's where the demographic is. So
that's very true. I mean, there's definitely an older demographic there.
Yeah, it's helpful for book sales because that's where most readers. I mean, think about it. When we all went online back in the 80s and got onto like MySpace or whatever, it ended up eventually becoming Facebook was the place where you would connect with people. So I think a lot of people have been on it for so long. And there's a lot you can do with it. And there's a lot that you can try to do with it that may not work. So I don't know. I feel like the whole thing kind of needs an update, but that's just me. But yes, I am there quite a bit. And just finally, if I post, I can research a post. I can interview people. I can put it up on my Substack and I'll get like 10 likes. I put up Pip, when you've all seen my cute little cat, right?
Yeah.
And I'll get 200 likes. So, I mean, at this point, I mostly just post Pip on my Facebook. my personal. And I get a lot of interaction that way.
And yeah, I can totally see that it does. Welcome to Roxanne and Venus, Crane and Butterfly, that are here in the live comments. Y'all can comment wherever you're watching. Feel free to, although I don't think the X comments work. I have not seen them work in a long time. So just FYI. Bez, are you, just real briefly, are you using Facebook much these days? I know you're big with LinkedIn.
Yeah, I actually do. Every 3 days minimum, I log in and wish my almost 5,000 connection request happy birthday. And it's just a habit I do it, because after 3 days they start to roll off and I start to feel guilty. Oh,
right.
Sometimes I go through stretches, but you'd be surprised how a simple happy birthday actually
100%.
means to some people. Like sadly, I do a lot of cut and paste.
Nothing wrong with that.
And with a few emojis and
Nothing wrong with that.
pretty much the same blurb, except the name's different because I put your name at the beginning. But
yeah,
it's something I do, and I get a big kick out of it. And then when it comes to my birthday, for whatever reason, a lot of people say happy birthday, but maybe that's why, a lot of people say happy birthday, because I've said happy birthday to them.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I do like to keep up and make sure I don't miss people's birthdays. I've been with Facebook since the time they let us non.edu email people. Remember, like back in the day, like you had to be in college with a .edu email address. And I remember going, well, that sucks. I want to try this new platform everybody's talking about. And once they opened it up, or any email address qualified, I joined right in. And I don't use it nearly as much as I used to. I mean, I used to teach businesses how to use Facebook for their business. I used to do a lot with Facebook, but I still have a very large personal following over there because I've been on it for so long, and because I built multiple large online communities, and I love how diverse all of my Facebook friends are. So I do like going in there and checking the memories and checking the birthdays. Birthdays is just such an easy way to stay connected with people if you're not chatting with them regularly. And I love the memories because of all the stuff I've done over the years, especially my older stuff. It's really cool seeing those pop up, and from time to time I'll share them in my feed. It's like memory lane. So yeah, I can see where it's good for that. I just think there's been just such a shift in like Facebook groups not being quite what it used to be. And it's so hard to get notifications. It's so hard to do things in there now, where I think that's why we see more people opting for something like what I have with the school platform. I'll show it. I had it up on the screen. I don't have it right now, but things like that, where there's so many other ways to have community without relying on Facebook groups, because that was like the only way for a long time. I want to get into the stuff. I've got cool stuff for us to talk about. I'm so excited. I always do. I know I say this every week. I got cool stuff. I'm really excited about the stuff I've put together for today. So I want to start. Let me real quick see Stephen's here. And thanks to everybody that's here. Let me see what his question is real quick. How can a sole proprietor professional best use social media and AI in June 2025 to attract new clients to her or his professional practice? Woo, that's like a big question. And it can go in so many different directions. I really want to get to all of our stuff we're going to talk about today, but real quick, does anybody want to jump in on that and have something? Rachel, I figured you would.
I mean, I am a sole proprietor. I'm an LLC now, and I'm an author as well. So honestly, I think you have to look at where is your desired demographic for whatever it is, the service that you're offering, and then create social media accounts where you provide value added information. So you don't want to just be like, hire me, or buy my book. Like that does not work. So I would look at, from a visual overall perspective, where are you going to get indexed so that you will start coming up in Google. If somebody puts in, let's say your service is creating handmade cookies. So if somebody puts in handmade cookies, we would want your business or name to come up. So that's how social media can help you. However, not every social media is indexed by Google, and Google, you kind of have to just, accept that that's the big monster that you want to show up in. So you want to be on the social medias that are indexed. Do some research. I don't want to take too much time here. I also want to recommend Substack, because Substack is not only, it lives on the substack.com app on itself, but it also goes to all your email subscribers. And I've gone from like 1,800 subscribers to almost 7,000 in about 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think
that's great news.
That is great.
Yeah. And on my Substack, I give you specifics how to do that, not as a business, but as an author. But you can adapt everything that I say to be for business. So those are the two major, and of course have a website and all that stuff too.
Well, I think my short, sweet piece of advice is from the words of Myron Golden, who's one of my just favorite. I love watching his videos on YouTube. He's just a great motivator, salesperson, and his style of teaching. And what he always says is, be findable. And that's just it. That's the mic drop. Because if you're not findable, if you are not on social media, if you're not using it actively, you're not doing things, then nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows you exist. So just, it's best to really just, as a sole proprietor, it's so easy to be overwhelmed. Pick like one platform and just make it yours. Whether like I'm really big with YouTube right now on my other, not as much on my Madalyn Skylar, but on my other one. And consistency is key, and just being consistent, but being findable so people know you exist. It's so hard for people to find you on social media. Is so saturated, but just go all in on one, learn everything you need to know about it, go all in, focus on it, and if you already, Stephen, if you already are focused on one or two, then just ramp it up, and even go into ChatGPT and put your question in. I would go into ChatGPT and I would just say, hey, chat, I'm a sole proprietor professional. How can I best use social and AI in June 2025 to attract new clients for your business? And start a conversation, and then just keep adding to it. And it was so cool that I love with ChatGPT is how it can become your brainstorm buddy. And you can do it on your computer. You can do it on your phone. I love doing it on my phone and tapping the little talk and just talk to it and have it talk back to me. Like I did that demo last week. I've shown y'all multiple times how I do that. And it can be done on computer. I just really like doing it on my phone because it just feels more mobile. Like I can just be walking around and doing something, and I'm having this casual brainstorming conversation, and it's helping me get ideas. But I'm just a type of brainstormer where I could just sit here and let's say, I call Rachel up. I said, Rachel, I got this great idea. Rachel doesn't even have to say anything. I can just do, and then as I'm talking, I figure stuff out. It's almost like I need to just talk about it. And then I'm just like, oh my God. And then also this and that. And I kind of use ChatGPT like that. It's just my little buddy there to let me bounce off ideas. And then it'll give me some interesting thoughts that I didn't think of. And I think that'd be a great way to go, but be findable. That is the key. Yeah, go ahead, Bez.
Yeah, I that resonates with me. Stephen here had asked a great question, but remember, the context window. As you start to have a long conversation, it'll start to hallucinate. So try Gemini. It has like 1 million character context. It's the window's pretty good. But to Stephen's question, so I'm dressed up because I went here locally in my little city of 2,000 people, county of 20,000. There's a medical center here, and I've lived in this little place north of Atlanta for 4 years now. A friend of mine, there was a street fair last weekend, said, hey, here's the CEO of the medical center. They need your help. So first thing when I walk in, when they bring me in, they're like, we're so happy you're here. And I'm like, that's what normally people who, usually they're like, we need
that's
to
so nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's nice, cha-ching. I was like, hey, yeah, the first part is done, But anyways, they said, Bez, we didn't know you were here, that you live locally.
Really?
And it's Yes, because I'm worried about doing business in the big city and in my other clients all over. But I'm like, I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I wanted to, but I wasn't findable. The first thing the CEO said, I didn't know you were here in town. Like, who wouldn't want to work for a headhunter with a headhunter that lives in their own little rural town in rural America? I mean, that's like, hey, well, you got something in common. You're not a big city recruiter that don't understand rural life. So
That I'm so glad you brought that up, and not to turn this into a huge conversation because I want to make sure I have time for all the stuff I want to talk about today. But it's so smart because I was in my bubble for a long time with that, where I, when you like work in like digital marketing, social media, and you can help people anywhere in the world, you don't always think about the local level because local's nice, but it's not a have to. The internet gave us the ability to work with people. I remember back in the early days of like online coaching I used to do. The first time I did one halfway across the world is back when we used Skype because that was the only thing back then. And I remember thinking to myself, holy cow, I'm talking to somebody who is overseas. I think it was Asia, or I don't remember where it was. It was somewhere very far. And we're on Skype and we're having this real-time conversation, and I'm coaching her, and I'm thinking, this is amazing that like we're not just having to do local anymore, that we can help people anywhere in the world if our business can. I know a lot of businesses are just local only, but it's just that changed the landscape, decades ago. But we don't always think about local. And so with all the stuff I've done over the decades, I live in Houston, fourth largest city in the country. And I never really did. I mean, I used to do stuff locally because when I first started, I was one of the first web designers in Houston. And internet was so new. So yeah, you mostly started as a local thing. And I was out there and I made sure people knew who I was. It was still most people didn't even know what .com was at the time. And but then as things evolved over the years, it didn't have to be local anymore. So I just didn't really have that mindset of like, do people know me locally anymore? And then many years go by, decades go by. And then I don't remember when it was a long time ago, but then people in the local Houston area top social media and digital marketers, they were starting to have these gatherings and they were doing like these rankings to see. And like I was showing up in some of these rankings because I lived in Houston. It wasn't so much like you have to be serving local people. It's just who are the top social media people in our big city. And so I was seeing this being talked about. I'm like, oh, I'm on this list. I'm like, and I was real high on the list. And it's because the Twitter Smarter Chat, you do that every week for years. That's going to put you up. Back when Clout, y'all remember Clout and you had that Clout score? Yeah, they were using like those types of ranking tools. And I was always really high on those tools. And so I started going to some of their events and stuff. And I'm like, holy cow, I never even realized like there's a whole community of other people doing what I do. And what a great way to network, whether it's for local business or not. I mean, still it's just connecting with other people doing what you do. And then it turned out like I was in the ranking system they were using. At first, I was number either 2 or 3 top for Houston. I'm like, so that's why I'm like, oh, this is wild. I never really thought to like go back to my roots of where I live, and with this. And then the next year, I was then like number 1, and I'm like, what is going on? But it was because of the work I was doing, the kind of work I did online, especially Twitter back then, and made my ranking really high. And it was like, but it just goes back to that being findable. And you can be findable in so many ways, but keep your eyes open to how you're being findable. And I'm glad I realized. And the thing I attribute it to when they were trying to figure out like, well, who are the local people to put into feed into the ranking system is by what you have on your profile, what's on your bio. And even though what I was doing was worldwide, I always had my location as Houston, Texas on my Twitter and all my other social media. And that's how they first found out about me. And then when I put all this together, I started preaching to people, even if you're doing something worldwide, still have your local location of where you are, because that can still help you in so many ways. So I was already doing it, but I just thought that was so cool. Hey, Jason from Bunsen and Beaker is hanging out, and on X. I never see comments on here from X. So glad you're here with us. Oh yeah, because it's summertime, so you're not teaching. Let me know if you'd like to come on. I'd be happy to add you onto the screen so you can come hang out with us. Let me get to our stuff. I know we've just been having this awesome chat like we always do. I want to talk about some really interesting things I've come across. The first thing is a really cool tweet from my friend Dustin at Magi. Y'all probably know Dustin. We've had him on here multiple times on this show and our Twitter Smarter and other stuff over the years. One of my good friends who has an amazing all-in-one AI tool called Magi. Let me put the link up in the banner. So while I'm talking about this, if anybody wants to,
can I ask him a question about is he listening right now?
No, he's not here. I mean, look, I invite some of these people to come be guests, but it's very last minute because this is just stuff. This was something like I just came across a few days ago, and I was like, oh, this will make for a great topics. And then the thing I'm going to show after this is a tweet from yesterday. So like, there's not always time to get people. So I invited him, but I mean, I don't have any expectations of him coming, but it's an important topic talking about privacy with our AI. So did you like have a specific question, Bez?
Yesterday I built my first
Yesterday
I built my first microbot, and I was wondering if through him I could get API keys, but I'll look that up later.
Just reach out to him. Yeah. He's very active on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, but if there's time at the end, I built the microbot. Anyways,
all right, I got time. At the rate we're going, I'm already so behind. It's all good.
80s.
Yeah. I know we haven't even talked about the 80s yet. But he put out this post a few days ago. It's a really interesting scenario, and I'm glad Rachel's here since she's the author here with us. So he's doing this scenario for authors. He says, authors, how do you feel about the following scenario? Person buys your nonfiction book. Let's say it's a book about writing better sales copy. They read it, love it, and want to put it into practice. I think this is a pretty common scenario too, by the way. They download a PDF version and upload it to an AI model that and then they instruct the AI to do things the way the uploaded book talks about. And it's just strictly for your personal, is to help you create content. I mean, I know people talk about doing things like this. So he's giving you the scenario, but then he says at the bottom, this is if they're using Magi, they're using a private AI tool that does not use uploaded content or prompts to train future models. And this makes for a good conversation because we're not always realizing with these AI tools that we're using, whether it's the free version or the paid version, that unless you go into the settings and turn it off, everything you put up in there, they're using it to train future models. So you're helping them, and then it makes you think about, well, how private and secure is all this content? If you're an author, you know people are going to like access your stuff and figure out a way to put it into their AI. If there is a PDF version, that makes it super easy. But let's say you have an audiobook. I mean, I could just there are workarounds. I'd probably just screen record some of it and then take the audio and go put it into a tool I have to get a transcript, and take the transcript and go put it into AI and like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, there are ways to do it. But then it's like, well, if it's training on all the content and it's taking authors' work, I don't know. Like, so Rachel, I'm just so curious we're going to talk about it, but I'm just curious as an author, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's very interesting. So you have a few camps. So there are the camp of authors who say, if you do anything with AI, you're cheating, you're terrible, you're a horrible person, and you should be wiped off the face of the earth as a writer. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there are people, and these are PhDs that I'm working with, who say, I don't see any harm in taking my own content that I've written, putting it into the AI and saying, come up with, let's say you take a chapter of a book, you upload your own PDF of an unpublished work, and then you say, create, 5 worksheets out of it, or 25 tweets, or whatever. It's your data, and you're using a tool to help you achieve whatever it is that you need to do, which I see as perfectly viable and not unreasonable way to use it. I think where people are, I think the whole concept of copyright is going to have to be rethought, because let's say that a client hires me, I give them, 10 tips on how to blog, right? So let's say I do that. They take that, upload it into ChatGPT and say, here's a new book on blogging, and put their name on it. Not that I'm saying they would do that. It's just an example. But what would stop someone from doing that? That is the issue. The other issue is that they're taking books that are already published and not only using them to train AIs, we already know this, but also republishing people's work under their own personal name or a pen name that they didn't even write. All they did was upload the book into AI. So that's where I think we're looking at, is it generative or is it transformative? And I think these are big legal issues I don't have answers to, but I do feel that copyright is, we have to change the entire concept of that. And it's not just authors, it's musicians, it's actors. They're copywriting their images so that if it is used in AI, they will receive some sort of benefit. And I don't know how that's all going to happen.
Yeah, I'd love to get Dustin on to, maybe I'll see if he can come over next week and kind of elaborate on this, because I find it such an interesting topic. We don't hear about this much, but knowing that Magi, his platform is all private, and
Right.
so he was actually here back in February on this live stream talking about it with us. I'm going to just share, I'm going to play, it's just a real short, I think it's like a 3-minute clip of him talking about it with us. I'm going to play it real quick just to kind of give context to this, of like why a tool like Magi, and this is not some big promotion like everybody go buy Magi because I say so. I'm just trying to show you that these tools, if you're not paying attention, they are using everything you put in. And there's this latest news I just heard about how ChatGPT has been ordered to, anything you delete on ChatGPT is still there forever. And ChatGPT is not allowed to have anything deleted off their servers ever. It's some craziness I've been hearing about. A little scary. But let me play this short clip of when Dustin came on and talked about this with us.
My policy is we will never use a model. We will never integrate with a company or app or anything that does not respect our users' privacy by default. So most of these models, when you go sign up for ChatGPT, and I just found out today that ChatGPT has been changing my privacy settings despite me changing them over and over again to not train on my data. So most of these models reserve the right to train on your data. So all the conversations you have, they have the right to retain that information and to train their future models on it. So if you're putting proprietary information in there, data that is, proprietary to you, or stuff that is, even patented, if you're putting it into these models, if you don't find the setting or they don't make it available for you to say, do not train on my data, then they will. And in all likelihood, somebody could, a year down the road be asking the AI something and it regurgitates something close to what your proprietary information might be because it's been trained on it. So it's very important for you to make sure if you're using something like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini that you find the setting, if it's available, it's not always available, that says, do not train on my data. Today I found ChatGPT has changed their language to be a little bit more manipulative. I was stunned. Hold on, let me find the exact word here, because it was in plain sight and it has changed. So it says data controls, improve the model for everyone. That is what it's labeled now. And it's an on-off switch that you have to click through to get the off switch. And essentially what it means to improve the model for everyone is that you're allowing ChatGPT to train on your chats, train its newer models on your information. So I would recommend turning that off. With Magi, it's always off by default. We do not even offer the opportunity for you to turn it on. We will never train on your data. We will not allow any of our providers to train on your data. Your data, when it is sent to these providers to process and send back into Magi, they are required to delete it as quickly as legally they are allowed to. So yeah, make sure you double check those settings, because I always turn mine off on these other apps. Somehow it keeps getting turned back on.
Wow. And then I just real quickly, I should have narrated, I didn't, but it's like, let me show real quickly, like here, and you go into ChatGPT, this is what you do. These are, I'll make sure the link to this video is in the description here on YouTube, if anybody wants to see that later. But check your, like, I like with Magi, they're doing the private. He's able. You're using the ChatGPT and the Gemini and the everything, Grok, all of them, but they're on private servers. They're not on those servers. But with these, if you're using any of these individually, go into the settings. And I walk through with these three, with ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity, how to do it. But check them all and make sure you have it turned off. It's usually just something you got to tap. They're all different with where they have it and how it's worded, but it's typically in the settings in there. And it's just, I mean, and look, if you're okay with it, that's fine. I'm just saying that if you're putting stuff in that you just don't want them to train on in the future, if these things are generic, but like, Rachel, you as an author, I mean, you probably don't want some of the stuff you put into ChatGPT having the ability to train on future models the way it's set up.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Yeah, in fact, while you were doing the video, I went into my ChatGPT settings and I had turned them to off. It is still turned to off, but
Okay.
FYI. So, but I have been using Magi more. I find it's for business type things. Like, here's an example that I think is perfectly legitimate. I needed to take some back cover copy off of a client's paperback book. Normally, I would have had to use some app. Well, I would have probably transcribed it myself. So I literally just took the photo that I took, the screenshot, put it into chat and said, please type out the back cover copy exactly as it appears here. And of course I checked it and everything, but that saved me so much time. So I think if we can use it in that way, then I feel that's like perfectly ethical. But again, there's a lot of issues. And of course, the new thing came out that we talked about with, is it making us stupid? But that's a whole other topic.
Right. And real quick, Stephen was asking about, last week he'd asked why Bez and I had headphones, and you don't have headphones on, everything's fine. Why bother? So like, have you needed headphones when you're doing this? Like, do you just have your speaker turned down, or like, what do you do? So we're not getting feedback.
Well, I think you went into the audio settings to turn off any outside noise. Yeah. Cause I'm running a scan. So my computer's like right now.
Yeah, we do have a reduced.
Hear that?
Yeah, here on StreamYard that the four of us are in, we do have a setting to reduce background noise. So it probably helps a bit, but many times it's just you get this feedback and it can be disruptive with the audio, the way the audio picks it up.
I'm just on my MacBook, so I don't know.
And you have us coming through your speakers on your MacBook?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we're not picking up anything, but not to say it couldn't, it could. But like, if I like, let me take the setting off so we can.
You can probably.
I see. Do y'all hear that now?
Yes. Yeah.
So if she has headphones on, we probably wouldn't have that issue. But luckily, with StreamYard, I can tap a reduce background noise button, and it's gone. So. So it's possible, Stephen, it's just that you'd be fine without headphones, but many times. But also, I'm just an old-time audio geek. I mean, I've been podcasting since 2013. This is like, we didn't have all the technology to make things sound as good. So you always had, your fancy mic and big over-the-ear headphones. I'm just so used to it, so it doesn't bother me. And real quick for Venus, when we were talking about the whole train the models, she's using ChatGPT with her advocating in the Kratom community, and she wants it to have correct information and use the science to train. So yeah, with what you're doing, Venus, is totally fine. It's not. I think it's really more for sensitive stuff or just proprietary, like Dustin said in the video. Proprietary, I think authors, content creators, really just depends on what the content is and what you're comfortable with, And Dustin had also posted an article related to all of this. This article just came out talking about OpenAI, ChatGPT, having this court order with data retention. And so I just want to show you this first paragraph. So it says the artificial intelligence community was shaken in May 2025 when a federal court ordered OpenAI to preserve all ChatGPT user conversations indefinitely, including those with that were explicitly deleted by the users. So it just goes back to this whole data rights privacy. Your stuff is not necessarily private.
I think that's going to get challenged. In normal corporate America, you want to save your stuff for 7 years, then you can delete it and get rid of it. And then some companies have a policy every 90 days they delete all your old email. They do it for a purpose because there's stuff in there that puts them in legal jeopardy. They want to get rid of it. So I don't know why they're not able to do that. I think that will be challenged and may be appealed.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just when you hear about these things, it's like, oh my God, there's a court order that, like, even though I deleted chats in ChatGPT, they're still there. They can't be removed. But I think it would be challenged. I just want people to know about this stuff because, it's just good to know. And then if you're like, well, you know what? I really don't want to have to deal with this issue, then go sign up for Magi, because Magi, you get to use all the tools for the cost of signing up and doing the paid for any of those. You just can do that on just Magi. You can pay $20 a month. And with Magi, you get all of it. He's up to like 50 AI tools, all the top large language models and the image generators are all in there. And it's pretty amazing. And to know that the way he has it set, you're using those tools inside his, but it's on his private servers. So I think that's pretty darn cool. And it makes me really like that. I mean, and I've talked about it here, I still do, like, I like Magi for a lot of stuff, and I like just doing my ChatGPT separately. And I especially like talking to it on my phone. I want to get to the next thing. I mean, I really wanted to talk more about that, but we're more limited with time, and that's is totally okay. I want to break down a very cool tweet from my friend Janet Machu. Oh, do I have the wrong page up? I was like, I had it up just a second ago. What did I do? I think I pressed a link and it took me somewhere else.
Well, what was it about?
So what happens when it's live? Oh, I've got it. I just, when you're live streaming, things happen. Okay. So my friend Janet, I've known her for many years. She hosts, she's in Africa. She posts a really popular Twitter chat in Africa. I've been on her. She's been on my Twitter Smarter many times. Super smart marketer, one of the smartest marketers out there. And she did this post yesterday, and it showed up in my feed, and it really caught my attention. I wanted to just show this because it's a well done tweet. But then on top of it, it's exploded in 24 hours. She's gotten so many views, so many comments. But all she said was, this is her post. Anyone out there who would love to join a masterclass session on starting your digital marketing business / agency, how to get clients, and how to build long-term revenue, ? I'll send you a DM. You can reply here if interested. And I see people do posts like this from time to time. And I think first of all, asking a question is always smart because then you're encouraging conversation. But what really stood out to me with this post is just, what she did, like the way she framed it, to, like, she's very clear of, this is my offer. This is what I'm offering and what I can do for you. Let me put up my response, because I put up like a really good response, and I just made it super simple. I quote tweeted it. I said, the anatomy of a great post: a simple question, a clear offer, and a promise to personally reply. Never underestimate the power of a connection. I think because she's like saying, I'll DM you. You're probably reading that going, yeah, I'd like to get on a masterclass session with this. Sounds interesting. And to know that she'll send you a DM to discuss it further. Now, I know there are tools now to do these auto DMs, but that's like Instagram. I think Instagram's the only one that does that, right? Gosh, what's that tool? ManyChat. ManyChat's been
ManyChat.
out, ManyChat's been out forever, but I just always hated it was just an Instagram DM thing, but it's brilliant. So whenever y'all are on Instagram and like somebody does a post and they say, just, comment and say like this one word or this phrase, right? And I'll send you whatever. And then you go do it. They're using a tool like ManyChat that will automatic. They don't have to do anything. It's automatic. It will send you whatever that offer is that they promised. But doing it like this is going to be manual because there is no tool that will auto generate the DM for X. So I love that she did this because I thought that this was just brilliant. And so in the one day, she posted this yesterday morning, she is up to 108,000 views of this post. She's had 1,400 likes. She's had over 1,000 comments. And what's crazy is I wish I'd written down what the numbers were when I first came across this tweet. I came across this, I want to say it was like early in the afternoon yesterday. And then I checked it a few hours later because I'm like, I'm definitely going to talk about, because I just thought the tweet was great and we're talking about because of the strategy she's using. And by yesterday afternoon, it was at 80,000 views, whereas right now it's at 107,000. So it already spiked. I think when I saw it, it was around maybe 30 or 40K. So it like doubled just within a few hours the first time I saw it versus the second time. And then the comments, it just kept going up and up. But I just thought this is such a good way to connect with your audience and just to kind of give you like just a super simple strategy to think about. And then she put up a new post. They're so overwhelmed. She says, my team and I are super overwhelmed and grateful for the massive response rate. For those we might not be able to DM, please use this link to get more information. So it looks like she put up a Google Doc. Yeah, she got a Google Doc. It's just very cool. I just really liked how she did this. So I think it's just a great strategy. Have y'all ever done strategies like this where, you're asking, you're giving an offer, you're asking a question, you're trying to like get some engagement going but also to gauge interest of an offer?
Yeah, if I could share.
Absolutely.
We're going back years now, but I had this idea that I wanted to create a program or a project or a download for authors to learn how to market their book in 30 days. Because when I first started 15 years ago, everybody was kind of like what you were doing, Madalyn. We were all doing our own little thing. And so there was no like, if you want to create an author platform, do these 5 things and voila, you're done. It just doesn't work like that. So I put it all together in a book. I'm sorry, not in a book, in a tweet. And I didn't put all the information in there, but I said, would you be interested in signing up so I could capture their email addresses for this free 30-day book marketing challenge? Click here. I got people to opt in. And I got over 1,000 people that signed up for this, which shocked the absolute heck out of me, right? So it led to me sending something out every day to the people that signed up, which it ultimately became a book, because I realized it was almost like I was doing market research and I was testing it out and what was easy and what was not. And it wasn't just how to use Twitter. It was, social media, blogging, newsletters, just reviews, all the things that you need to create your platform. And that became a book I've updated 3 or 4 times at this point because social media consistently keeps changing. And now I'm just too busy to update it, but the basics are there. So I think for me, that I sort of just stumbled into, would this be interesting? And was just absolutely shocked by the response. But if I hadn't put it out there on Twitter, I don't know if it ever would have even become a thing.
How many? Yeah. How big was the response? I missed it. Well, how many?
Over 1,000 people signed up.
Wow,
that's amazing.
It literally shocked me. I didn't even know that many people paid attention to what I was doing, to be honest. So.
That's very cool.
Wow.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I realize, Angel, I didn't catch your comment before when we were talking about Magi and AI. She said, Magi person touched on the big issue most AI people have consent and accountability. The potential as an assistive tool is there, but many are naturally resentful of their work being stolen, misused, and have nobody to remove it or answer for whatever problems arise. Any thoughts on that before we wrap up?
I think that's there's a guy, Mitch Jackson. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, I love Mitch.
Oh, you
Great
should,
guy.
if you want to talk
Super
about
smart.
this, yeah, if you want to talk about this
I've
subject,
been on his stuff and he's been on mine.
yeah,
I should get him over here.
he and a few other people have gone deep on this subject, especially the one where the Prince photograph where the Andy Warhol did a version of it, and then the estate of it goes between Vogue and the estate of Andy Warhol because he's no longer alive. There was a lawsuit, and I thought, oh, based on the law, there should be no problem. They lost, and I asked Mitch. I mean, I don't know case law, but if I look at the law, I thought it answered most of the questions. He goes, Bez, sometimes these things are not. They're about who has the most money to keep going. So the balance is, I mean, it's a lot of very complex, but if you really want to go deep on that subject, him and a few other people can go really deep on that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. I want to wrap up because we're already coming up to the top of the hour. Facebook announcements. So have y'all heard that they want to, the headline from Meta says, make it easier to create videos on Facebook. And so they want to make this easier by having everything as reels. I don't use Facebook all that much for video anymore. So, but it says the creation process will be streamlined, but everything else about Facebook will remain the same. So have y'all had a chance to look at any of this yet?
I was over the weekend, I was in the back because, between my IG and Facebook, I decided to go in the back, because I'm in professional mode. I was seeing stuff I had never seen before. And one of the reasons that prompted me is that I made 84 cents. Like someone subscribed to me and paid $1. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? and I made 84 cents, but I was like trying to figure out what I do with 84 cents. But anyways, when I went into the back office there was quite a bit of things I didn't even know existed, tools and things for you. So I'm going to explore that a little bit more because I know friends of mine that they make money on Facebook. They take advantage of whatever they take advantage of, but they're making good revenue out of Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm just not on there enough to really be watching all this stuff. But Mari Smith, that post I had up, she's referring to this as a TikTokification of Facebook. So with them doing this, so I don't know. I just want to make sure people are aware because this has been like big news this week. And Mari Smith was putting out multiple posts about it. And just wanted to make sure y'all saw this. It was another post they put up talking about it, making it easier to create videos on Facebook. So,
well, the big news out of Meta was that they're willing to give $100 million offers for the best AI talent. I
saw that. Yeah, they're trying to steal talent from OpenAI.
Yeah. And that doesn't surprise me. I know how talent acquisition works in those FAANG companies. It's not normal. It's insane if I were here to explain it to you.
Yeah. Interesting. And then there was another thing that also Mari Smith had shared about the passcodes that they're finally coming, so you have a more secure login on mobile on there, because Google has it, X had it, Microsoft, everybody has it. And even WhatsApp, which is a Meta platform, has it. It says Instagram's still a holdout, but this is finally coming. So there's nothing wrong with security, so I think that's a good thing.
Well, there is a double-edged sword, sort of on that with people in my community. So they're recommending passcodes because you have to get a lawsuit. You can't get through that, but facial recognition, there is a workaround. So, yep, it's complicated.
Yeah, and Barb says, while we've been in here, she's gotten notification of folks seeing this episode as a reel. Yeah, because y'all have this going. Barb has this on her Facebook. I think all of y'all have this on your Facebooks, right? And this is right now live streaming on my YouTube, X, and LinkedIn. I've been doing this experiment with LinkedIn instead of my Facebook. But Barb, that's interesting. Are you able to talk? Are you able to chat with us?
Yeah, and
Okay.
what I did, because thank you for giving me the mic for a second, because I wanted to let you all know that I always pin our live to the top of my profile every week. And I got notifications in the last couple of notifications I got, and that they're going to delete the video, because that they've already let us know that they were going to delete our live videos in 30 days. So it became, as creators, what the heck? We go to all that effort and time, and there are people who want to watch who cannot be there for the live. And so 2 things happened yesterday. One, I got the notice and I said, well, because I'm a woman of habit. So like right after the live, I will go and I'll download it. So I know I've got it, but it becomes, because I'm not going to be here forever. And there are people who would like to have that information later. And so what I saw, a couple of things I had. One of my other habits is when my friends are streaming live typically, and I am on Facebook and I get the notification, I share it in particular groups that are relative to whatever it is that their live is about. Well, where I shared it, yesterday I got a notice that one of those friends, he was live yesterday and something went wrong and he had to stop. And that post I shared, I could not edit. I couldn't edit it to even say, well, he's coming back, we'll do this tomorrow, and just leave it as a text post or even add an image to it. It would not let me do anything to it but delete it when I shared it into a group. So that was new. I felt very restricted. And it made me think about it. And I thought, you know what? We need to, we have our photo albums, and one thing we can do, and I started creating screenshots of the fact from my Facebook personal profile, it shows that we're live. It goes around your profile picture. It actually shows a little red ring that you're live. And then if you put that in a photo album of my live, my Facebook lives, this image screenshot, then you can put in the comment, watch the replay on YouTube. It's so
interesting.
Yeah, because then you would have the archive there. And for me, it's important on Facebook because, like I said, over half my peeps are there.
Yeah.
And so then it would be there. But I can see we have a lot of work behind the scenes as creators. If we want to keep it, it is findability. It's what you started out this episode with, is to be findable. And if how can we be findable if they're deleting us in 30 days?
I know. I know. And it's interesting. And I keep getting those notifications because they have to notify you before they do it. And they keep popping up with old videos I have. So Larry's here. Hey, Larry, good to see you. Yeah, it's Thursday. We're wrapping up with all this. So last thing real quick. I don't know, Bez must be having internet issues because he was here and then he was gone, or maybe he had to leave. Yeah, he had to run to a meeting. Okay. Last thing real quick as we wrap up. Rachel, you had come across this interesting tweet you had shared with me that the headline's interesting. Breaking from MIT. They just completed the first brain scan study of ChatGPT users and the results are terrifying. Turns out AI isn't making us more productive. It's making us cognitively bankrupt. I mean, is this for real? Is there just like a catchy headline?
Yeah, it's a real study. I actually shared the article in school from Time Magazine, but it's all over, and you can go directly to the study. But basically, they split people into 3 groups. All right, one was using ChatGPT to create an SAT level essay. The other was using Google's LM, or whatever you call it. And then the final one was using ChatGPT. And they actually did brain scans, and there's far less brain activity when using ChatGPT, even even less than if you use the Google AI, which is really weird. So they go into all the details, but basically it's saying, use your brain and don't completely depend on any kind of AI, because you're not opening those neural pathways in your brain. You're becoming lazy without even realizing it. So look at the study.
Wow.
It's out of MIT.
I'll put the link in the YouTube description for this live stream, but like you said, it's also over on our school platform. So, free to join, y'all. Go to school.com/Madalyn Sklar and come. It's like our after hangout. Like, we're only here for an hour each week, but then throughout the week, the rest of the time we hang out over in school. So sign up for that and come hang out with us. Cindy Lou says, wait, it's Thursday? Oh, right. Y'all are on the other side of the planet where indeed it's tis Thursday. Yeah, because Cindy Lou's in New Zealand where it's tomorrow. She's in the future. I love it. It's so cool. So Venus says that it helps her unstick her brain with ChatGPT. But that was just an interesting headline. So I just thought it made for an interesting, quick discussion as we wrap up here. This is always a great chat with y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me and just talking about all these interesting things that I uncover throughout the week. And it just makes for a fun conversation.
You're quite welcome. And I'm looking forward to next week already. And I'll see you over on school.
Yeah. I'll see y'all over in school. Y'all have a great rest of your day, your week, and come back here next Thursday where you're watching this. If you don't know, I know we're broadcasting all over the place because I know Rachel and Barb and Bez are all broadcasting this on their social media as well. But if you don't want to ever miss one of these, just the best place to go is my YouTube channel at Madalyn Sklar. You see my name on there. Just type that in on YouTube, and all the replays from all the past weeks are on there. We've been doing this live stream for a while now, and it's always a lot of fun. So you can join over there, and great having y'all hanging out with us today. We'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody. Let's see if this will end today. Y'all remember, whoever was here a week ago, remember I was trying to hit the end to make this stop, and it wouldn't, and this went on and on and on, because apparently while we were live streaming last week, StreamYard, but also a lot of other companies, the servers got attacked. It was a cloud server attack, affected a lot of other companies and businesses, and at least we got to have our whole hour last week, but it wouldn't let me close this. And let's see if it works today. So I'm going to press the button.